Welcome to this session. It's an introduction to open source contribution. Basically, what we're just going to talk about is it's going to explain all the strategies that you need for a successful contribution. The presenter is Cynthia Iradukunda from Kenya. She's a fellow ambassador for Women Techmakers. She is a web developer and also a contributor. So just follow along, and I hope that you're going to learn something.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone. I don't know if my camera is really good. My lighting is not good as well, but yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Cynthia, and I'm a web developer, also a cloud computing enthusiast. I also am part of different communities, um, such as Google Developer Group, um, Women Cake Makers, and AWS User Group Kigali. So I'm going to share my screen. Uh, Please allow me to turn off my camera because I think it's making my internet connection also not go well. So let me share my screen. Mm, I can share this. So yeah. So hi everyone again. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Mm, okay. Yes. So as I said, I'm Cynthia Redukunda, and I'm based in Kigali, Rwanda, and currently working as a web developer with Bombard. So to start, I just want to know the audience that I will be talking with, just to get an idea of your level with open source, if you've contributed before, or some of the challenges that you've been facing if you've contributed, and if you have not, just to get an idea of the level of knowledge that you have. So let me share this with you um, here in the chat. And if you go to this link that I just shared, yes, if you go to that link, and I'm sure you should see this slide as well. Please let me know if there is any. Let me share the code as well. Or is it requesting for a code? Mm, okay, yeah, I think you should immediately access it without having to enter the code. So yeah, so the first question that I would want to know, to get an answer from you guys, is what comes to mind when you hear open source? So it could be something that motivates you to contribute to open source, or it could be something that scares you to contribute to open source. Um, what is okay, Apple? What is that thing that motivates you to contribute or scare you to contribute, or that thing that comes to mind when you hear open source? Okay, I can see beautiful. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, free. Um, any other responses? So if there is anything that motivates you to contribute to open source or that you that scare you the most, you can just type it. Okay, so for the sake of time, I just go to the next slide. So the next, yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me, okay, I'm going to share it again. Yes, you should have access to it now. So let me share this. Yeah. Okay, I can see people say they haven't contributed or made a pull request, which is okay. One person made a pull request. That is really nice. Um, okay. Three people haven't created a pull request yet. Okay. So I can maybe conclude that most of the people here haven't done a pull request yet or haven't contributed to open source, which is totally okay. So I'm going to stop sharing this and then I'll share the slides again. Okay. So, so the agenda for today, I will start with just helping people who've not heard of open source before, just to get to know what is an open source project or software. And then we'll have a look at some of the advantages that comes with contributing to open source projects. And then we look at some of the prerequisite and misconception that people have. And we'll end with how you can get started. And I'll share tips along the way that have helped me to contribute. So, what is an open source project? So, in simple term, when you hear an open source project, it's basically a project or a repository which is there for everyone to contribute or view or modify. So, an example could be WordPress. WordPress is an example of an open source project. So, if you go to GitHub and maybe search WordPress, I'm sure it should be on GitHub. So you find a repo of the WordPress project, and you'll be able to see how the code was written and how they brought together the WordPress app. And also you see on a way on how you can modify through maybe issues they might be having, and then see how you can contribute. So basically, it's free. People can use it for free and they can contribute, they can suggest new things. But then when you go to GitHub, you see that there are a lot of public projects. That doesn't mean that they're open source. Not all the public projects that you see on GitHub or Bitbucket, GitLab, they're not all open source projects. So something that will let you know that it's an open source project, it will have a license. And also, a license is there to let you know the do's and don'ts, what you can do to that project and what you can't. So it's really important if you are going to start contributing to open source, you read the license and know this is what I can do to this project and this is what I can do. So all these are the different open source projects, but there are a lot of them. So depending on what software you use, you can find that they are open source. It's an open source project as well. So some of the benefits of contributing to open source project. The first one is you gain work experience. I'm sure most of you have experienced this, where you go on LinkedIn and you're trying to apply for an entry level job, but then they're requesting for like 2 years of experience. And I'm like, okay, are you looking for an entry level or maybe mid level? So that's something that, sorry about that. So that's something that that happens a lot, where you find that they're requesting for, nowadays they're requesting for more experience for even entry level. And with open source projects, you can contribute to those projects for free, and at the same time you're gaining experience as you contribute to them, and you don't have to pay or you don't have to apply. You just go there and solve an issue, and then you can present it on your resume. And recruiters value your open source contribution more than you creating a project. So you find that nowadays a recruiter will ask you, have you contributed to open source project, because they take it as a valuable work experience. So another thing is you grow your professional network, because they have communities, they have mentors, maintainers that are always there to support, that are reviewing your pull request, and they're like, you have to change this. So in that network, you can find a recruiter or maybe someone who will vouch for you in a particular job. So you also get to improve your soft skills. That includes communication, as you communicate with your maintainers or mentors, and you find that they have also weekly meetings. So you get to join and then try to also explain what changes you've made. If you created a pull request, they'll give you some time, and it will be like a large crowd of people, maybe like 100, all the people listening to you, to get to know what you've changed or what you've improved to their project. And then another thing is employment opportunities. So by contributing to open source, your name will be there. So like anyone who visits that project, they'll see that this person called Cynthia has contributed to this project, and then they can immediately go to your GitHub and then see what, or LinkedIn, if you've linked your LinkedIn profile to your GitHub, and then they can see what you've done, and then they can hire you. So this is how I got my job, the one that I'm doing now, and maybe I can share more once we're done with this. So there are a lot of benefits. These are just few of them and main ones, but there are a lot of benefits that comes with contributing to open source. So you can't lose by contributing to open source. So some of the prerequisites, you have to have a GitHub, Bitbucket, or GitLab account, because all those projects have their repo on either of those softwares or version control. So, and also you need to have basic understanding of the version control commands. That includes like forking, cloning a repo, creating a branch, committing your changes, pushing or pulling changes from or to the remote repo, and then creating a pull request. So if you haven't done a pull request yet, you can go to this project called Fast Contribution. I'll share the link in the meet. So if you go to this first contribution, this is a good way to start making your first pull request or learn how to make a pull request. So you see that they have a good documentation. So they show you how you can make your first contribution or make your pull request. So you just have to fork this repo. Forking is like copying this repo to your own account. And then there is the clone, which is like now copying the repository, which is on the remote server like GitHub, and then you're like bringing it to your machine. And now once you're done with that, you have to create a branch. Why do we create a branch? Because once you clone this repo, maybe I can try to do that. So if we fork this repo and then we create, okay, yeah, you can see this. So now we create a fork. Okay, yeah, I've already forked this, so it might not be possible to do this. But you guys can try it on your own. So if you fork this, you see that. So let me go to my repository actually, since I have it. Um, and then I can search for past contributions. Okay, yes. So I have it forked already. So now I'll need to now clone it. So that means like um, creating a copy to my local machine. So I'll just come and then I don't know if you can see. Let me share my whole entire screen. Okay, yes. So you can see that I'm sharing my terminal. So if I do git clone, you need to first ensure you're in the path. So I want to put this repo in the document. So I just do git clone, and then I'll clone this repo in the documents, in my documents. So this might take long, but you see that once you're done cloning, you see that it will be in the main branch. So you can't push directly to the main branch. So they've already um, restricted it to contributors not pushing directly to the main branch. So you have to create your main branch so that your changes are like scoped somewhere in your own branch. And then once you've done creating your branch, you now add and commit your changes, push the changes to that copy, that forked repo. And then once you're done, you submit your changes by creating a pull request. So once you push your changes, you see that there is this thing here, compare and pull request. Then you can create a pull request. You can maybe add a title and then add a bit of description of what you've changed. It could be I added my name, um, and then tag the maintainers, and then they will review. If they see that there is a change or there's something that you need to improve on, they will comment, and then you improve on it before they merge. So basically, that's how. Okay, this is taking long. Um, I'll just cancel it. But basically, that's those are like the main commands, basic commands that you need to start contributing to open source. Other commands you get to learn them as you contribute to open source projects. So now they're like common misconception whereby people think if you don't know how to code, that means you won't be able to contribute to open source, which is not really true. Because with open source, you can contribute as a designer, you can contribute as a technical writer, you can write tests, um, translate. Actually, these are like the most needed ones because you find most issues are looking for people who can contribute on their documentation, or someone who can write the tests, or someone who can design. So these are like, you find that if you go on issues, is there a question? Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So if you go to issues, you see that these are like the different issues that need help. If it's not assigned, you can come here and be like, I want to work on this issue. and then they will assign it to you. But basically, what I'm trying to say is when you go to issues, you can filter based on different labels. Sometimes you see that they have like design or technical writing, yeah, like documentation, and then you can filter the issues based on your skills. And then how to get started. So I usually say that there are two ways you can get started. The first one is like the slowest one, but it's also rewarding. Why I say that is the slowest one because you don't get um, much guidance as you're studying, so you're on your own basically. So this is going and finding those beginner friendly open source projects and then contributing to them. So how you can find those beginner friendly, you can be part of open source communities like Open Source Community Africa, Oscar Africa, or you can go to Hacktoberfest. Hacktoberfest, this is like a yearly thing that happens in October to celebrate the different contributions that have been made to open source and also help beginners get started. So if you search Hacktoberfest, you see that they have a lot of guides to help people get started. So if you come here, participation, they have a Discord channel that you can join and see the kind of projects that other people are contributing to, and that can give you an idea of maybe another project that you can contribute to. And then they have events, and at the end of the month, like beginning of November, now they award people who have contributed a lot. They send like I guess T-shirts and some goodies to people who've been able to make contributions. So this is also a good way that can motivate you to start contributing to open source. Although it's ending, but you can still go there and look for resources that they share, which can be helpful as you start. And then there is this goodfastissue.com. This one I've used it a lot. Um, yes, I have it here. So if you come to goodfastissues.com, you can filter on based on the language or issue, or so here I was filtering based on JavaScript, but you can choose something different based on your skills. And then you can come here and then you also filter maybe beginner friendly or let's see documentation. So depending on the type of help that you would like to provide or your skills, you can filter and then find contributing to open source. So this is another issue. Angular 16 Fuse boilerplate. So if you're someone who has some experience with TypeScript, JavaScript, HTML, you'll be like, okay, and it's documentation, you'll be like, I want to work on this. And then you go to that issue and they don't have any description. But if this doesn't make sense to you, you can immediately comment and you like, I don't get uh, what this issue is requiring. Maybe could you clarify more, and I would love to work on it. But then you see this is already assigned. So you can maybe, since this person who is assigned to this issue is the one who even created it, you can still comment and you like, I want to work on this issue. And then maybe they can assign it to you. So these are like ways you can find some issues that you can start with um, while you're contributing to open source project. And this is how I found a project that helped me to get a job that I'm currently doing at the moment. It was like a analog.js. So I just found an issue and then I contributed to that analog. And then that project has a way to project the people who contributed, and then that's how a company reached out to me. So it's really, really important that you contribute to open source, especially if you're someone who's looking for a job, or you can find projects here that can even refer you to recruiters or potential employers. So you can also go to opendesign.net. This is for designers, and you can find some of the projects which are beginner friendly, and you can contribute your design skills. So another alternative is you can get involved through open source program. So this is the quickest one, but it's really competitive. But once you get into one of them, you really gain a lot of things, mentorship, stipend, goodies. And this also puts you on another standard, because now people can see that you've been able to get into these open source programs, so you can actually do the work. So one of them is Outreachy, and I think now they're in the contribution phase, if it has not ended already. But then without Outreachy, it happens twice a year. I was also accepted in, I think it's last year, the May term. So it's a really good opportunity. But as I said, it's competitive. So if you don't get in, you shouldn't be like, I'm not applying again. You have to continue applying. And with Outreachy, they have like a guide. So they have two phases. There is the initial phase where you submit essay questions, answers to essay questions. And the good thing, the essay questions don't change, so they're always the same. So if you're interested to apply to next year, I mean the May one, so which will open like in December something. So you can start writing or thinking about the answers to these questions. And once you get into the initial phase, now you go to the next round, which is the contribution phase. So for the contribution phase, there are different projects that are there, and then you just have to make at least one contribution and then submit a proposal. So let's say for this round, yeah, actually the contribution phase for the December term is ending on the 30th. But if you didn't get into the initial phase, um, you can't submit to the contribution phase, because it's a step-by-step thing. So let's say they have this by conductor and they're looking for 3 interns, and then there's also this project, CNCF, open telemetry. So they have different projects. So if you get into this round, the one thing that will help you is to know what you're really good at. Because sometimes you hear, okay, just contribute to any project and then you get in. But then sometimes people forget that there are other people who are also competing with you. They also want to get into or be accepted to the outreach round. So you have to at least know the skills that they're looking for. If, let's say, here they're looking for literature review skills, microbiome knowledge. If you see that you don't meet 60%, honestly, um, I would say there's no much chance for you to get accepted, because the contribution phase only lasts for 1 month. And in that 1 month, you need to set up the project. That can also take long, because um, these open source projects have complex and large projects, which can take long for you to set up. And sometimes their README or their documentation are not clear enough, so you have to contact. Okay, so you can see my screen. Yeah. So yes, so for the contribution phase, you need to know the type of the skills that you have, and ensure at least you meet 60%, because during the 1 month you need to make your first contribution to that project. And you can't make the first contribution unless you set up the project really well. So if you see, maybe they want someone who's skilled in web development, Golang, UX, and you see that maybe you really know well web development and this Golang, but then UX, you've done a little project, you have some basic understanding of UX, so that's good. But if you don't know anything about UX, so you're going to start from scratch, you don't have any project on UX, so I would recommend you look for another project, because even though you can learn, but at least you still need to show that you have some project of UX and stuff. Yes, I think there's a question. Yeah, Nesta, you can unmute. Okay, who's this by accident?
Please check that when you're on this website, is it possible
Mhm.
to read foreign projects that are here?
Is it possible to do what? Sorry.
Okay. So when you go down this website, they're able to tell you the different kinds of different types of project ideas
Okay, it's breaking.
that you can get. So is it possible to add your own ideas or to create your own project that is not around over here?
Oh, no, 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 no. You can't create another project, because these projects are they've patterned with Outreachy to help to maybe hire some of the outreach interns. So you can add another project. So for maybe if you have an open source project, for you to have your project here, you have to contact Outreachy and then work with them and stuff for you to now be considered as an open source project that can hire interns. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so basically, when you're contributing to open source projects, uh, like for this case, Outreachy, you need to, when you get to the contribution phase, you have only 1 month, and during that month, you need to make your first pull request. And it will be good if you do many, but then what they're looking for, like they want the mentors, they want they want to see that you've been able to create a pull request, because they can't hire you unless they've seen that you can do the work. And for you to show that, you at least solve one of the issues that they have on their repository. So you need to create one pull request, and also If you can create many, that would be good. But you also need to be in touch with the mentors, because the mentors need to know you before hiring you or maybe recruiting you. So you need to make sure your mentors are aware of what's going on. You've created a pull request, you're waiting for them to review. You're in touch with them, so they know you and they say that you can do the work. So basically that's like the main tips that are needed for you to get into this, I can say competitive ones, but then it's possible to get in. You just have to not give up and continue applying. And there's also MLH fellowship, which is also a good one. And with MLH fellowship, they have different tracks. So if you're someone who is a software engineer, or who is into site reliability, web web3, so you choose which track that you want and then you apply. So the good thing of MLH, they have different batches which are always open, so you can apply. What they request from you is just only one project that you've worked on that solves a real world project. And then from there, once you pass that initial phase, you can then have two interviews, and then you can get accepted to work with those open source projects. And MLH also partners with some global companies like Google, Amazon. So you get also an opportunity to work with those people remotely, and this is paid as well. So there are a lot of really opportunity. These are few. These are the ones I know. I'm sure there are also others that are available and are there to help people get started with open source. So have a look at them and then look for how you can get started preparing. If the application has not started, you can then try to go on their website, try to see the requirements, and then start preparing early. But then in the meantime, you can go to also these websites and then look for the issues that are beginner friendly and then start working on them. Because even when you're applying to these competitive ones, open source programs, they also want to see that you've at least been able to create a pull request. So by going to these websites, you can find some beginner friendly issues as we've seen from here, and then you can go and then start working on them. The only thing you just have to do is see if the issue is assigned, and if it's not assigned yet, so like this one is not assigned it's not assigned yet, so you can just go there and comment, I'm interested in working on this. And then the person who created it will assign it to you, and then you will work on it. So yeah, this was like a brief one, but I'm expecting some questions. If anyone has questions or doesn't seem to understand anything, something from what I've said, they can ask me. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out. Okay, you talked something brief about yourself. I think you said like you also got a job through you actually had your work you had it over there. So for me, I think I just want to kind of know. Of course, you've talked about that we can always start by actually bringing in our projects. But I mean, for someone that's just beginner level or trying to grow in it? Probably maybe what advice, because I know maybe we might have different opportunities and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I mean I also know maybe it was a bit difficult for you. I don't know, maybe your experience or whatnot. But maybe what advice would you give us to
Yeah.
say, even as we're trying to probably post whatever we can, or as we're trying to, sell ourselves and actually grow? Maybe for someone that's trying to develop
Yeah.
the career in it. Probably, yeah. I don't know if it's clear. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really there. So for me, my journey into open source started when I got into the Shikora Africa contributon. So that's when my journey into open source started. And then after that, I got into the outreachy, and then I was able to also get into the MLH fellowship. But then, as I said, this one can be competitive. Sometimes you might not get it for the first time. So that's why I recommended that you go to this website called goodfastissues.com, and then try to filter some issues. Okay, yeah, I'll also answer that. So, and then try to filter some issues based on your skills or based on what you want to contribute on. So let's say if it's testing, add a page on testing. So for me, when I completed the outreachy uh, internship, then I wanted to get a job because sometimes the outreachy projects are not hiring. So you have to look for a job also after the internship. So I was looking for a job, and then I found this goodfastissue.com. And then I was like, I know I didn't have anything to do, so I was like, I need to gain work experience so that while I'm sitting and looking for a job, I can also be learning something. And then that's when I found this website. And then I filtered based on my skill set. That was like JavaScript. And then that would be web development. If you don't even have to filter that much. But then now you go through all this and see which one resonate to you. And you can try to even look for those projects that are really that have some experience. So let's say like this project has 41 stars. So that means people know it and they've been using it for a long time, because it's always good if you contribute to a project that are being used by people, so you gain more experience rather than contributing to a project that no one is using. So you can come here, you see this one has 656 stars, so you can look for a project that is really known, that most people use, and then from there they can even hire you, or people who come to visit that page can see you as someone who have contributed and then hire you. But then the way I'm saying like it's an easy one, but it's not that easy. Even coming here and looking at an issue, and sometimes you don't even understand. You know that you have the skills that they want. You have the HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, but you don't know how to start. And when you're in that scenario, immediately you have to reach out, because you find that a lot of us, when we're starting to contribute to open source, we get scared. We're like, if I ask this question, they will be like, okay, this person doesn't know anything, why should we trust them to solve this issue? But then that's not how they look at it. For them, they see it as someone who is curious, someone who wants to learn, someone who wants to contribute to their project. So if you come here and you comment, I mean, you still have to make sure it's not assigned to anyone, because if it's already assigned, you can't do anything unless that person said, I'm no longer interested in working on this issue. But then you have to look for an issue that is not assigned. Let's say maybe this one, and then you can comment. So let's say like this one. It's not assigned yet, yeah. So you can read and try to see if you understand the requirement, and then from there you can comment and say I'm interested. Sometimes they even have communities, so like this fire camp, as you can see, it might be like a well-known thing. So they have like a community like Discord. You can join it, and you be like, I'm interested in working on this issue. You share the URL, and you be like, I don't understand this and this. Maybe can someone help me? So when you're trying to ask for help, it's essential that you also show that you've done a bit of research. So I've done this and this, and I want help this and this. So yeah, I don't know if that helps, but with this open source thing, you have to continue trying. If this doesn't work, you look for another way. If this open source project you find it not welcoming, try another one, and then I'm sure you find a project that fits you well, and the community is welcoming. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. It's also very eye-opening. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's do the question. How do you balance between open source contribution and your job? That's a good question because when before getting this job, I was contributing a lot to open source. Like you find that in a day, I've made like 3 contributions. But now that I got a job, it's hard for me to also do contribution. So if I get time after work, I can do the contribution, but most of the time it's not easy. But then I would encourage anyone who doesn't have a job now, or maybe who is not working, or maybe on a leave. It's always good to contribute to this open source project. When you have time, try to look for an issue and then contribute to it, because you gain work experience. And now, because even this layoffs, you know that the company you're with, it's not like you're going to be with them forever. Sometimes they can say we're done with you, find another job. So it's important that you continue updating your resume, you continue um, finding other opportunities, because the job you have is not also promising. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. Um, does it Ndembera? Not sure if I pronounced the name well. Okay, great. So I don't know if there are any other question. Okay, in my opinion, what's the future of open source development, and how can I think the only way to prepare is starting. So start to contribute, because nowadays people don't the code applying thing where you just submit your resume doesn't work anymore. So you have to get a referral, and by contributing to open source, that's where you get a network. People can vote for you. So if you're not part of a community, it doesn't have to be open source. Could be maybe it could be even like Shikor Africa community, it could be Women Tech Makers community. So if you're not part of those communities and really committed and being dedicated, sometimes you find yourself having no one to vouch for you. And nowadays it's so hard to get a job without someone vouching, or getting recommendation from the work that you've done. So honestly, open source is the future, because nowadays most projects are moving to open source. Recently, I heard that uh, Microsoft was not believing into open source, but now they recently started to have open source projects. So everyone is seeing potential in open source, and it's really really important to make and one thing you find that people complicate things. They'll be like, oh, I want to start by coding, um, but then coding might not be the easier way to start contributing to open source. So an easier way is maybe look into documentation, and then or maybe start with maybe testing something really simple, and then once you get into the community and you know you've set up the project and everything, now you can start to look for those coding issues and stuff. So don't try to complicate yourself looking for those complicated issues, trying to solve those complicated issues. Try first with the good fast issues, those one which are beginner friendly, and then you can level up and look for those which are a bit harder. So yeah, I don't know if there are any other questions. Okay.
I hope that you learned something. This is the end of the session, and I hope that you will start applying everything that you have learned in the video. Also, don't forget to share your friends the knowledge that you have gained here, and share the video with all those that you know that they're going to benefit from this. Um, Another thing is you shouldn't be afraid to share the knowledge that you have gained or anything that you know on your social media, be it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere that you go, because it's also going to help you with skills development or knowledge development, really. And yeah, the goal is to show people that you know something or whatever you know that you know it. So yeah, and don't forget to tag us, She Called Africa Lilongwe, Women in Tech Malawi, and of course give a shout out to our presenter Cynthia Iradikunda. I really do hope that I'm pronouncing this surname right. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you subscribed and you have your notifications on for future videos. And also for the presentation that she was having, I'm going to put the link in the comment section. And also you can find it on my Medium and LinkedIn as well. Yeah. Until next time, bye.